Hey there, it's Nina here with Walla Stamping. Thank you so much for joining me today. So we're going to be making a box style card today, but it's a little bit different and probably what you've seen most box style cards, at least it is for me. Now I got my inspiration from May. Her website is called May Made It, and she is so cute and I just love her to death. And so she demonstrated a card similar to this, but I've changed it up and kind of made it my own. I have a couple of different styles. This one is definitely Valentine's. It's got a lot of hearts, and let me show you how this card works. This is the box part of the card, and it's a shadow box or a box type card, but you can close it flat just like this and it looks like a regular card. It is 4 1/4 by 5 1/4 this way, so it'll fit in a regular size envelope. So that's the Valentine one. Now the one that I'm going to demonstrate for you today is this one. This is a happy birthday one, and it is the same style card, but I've just used different stamps and sentiments and framelits. Now this is the kind of card that when you give it to someone, they're going to know that they are special. Here's a little bit closer look at both of these cards. So this is the one that I did for Valentine's, and when we open it up and pop it up, you can see I've got all these cute little hearts down on the inside, these here on the outside, and then over here I've got a couple of hearts punched out through the designer series paper, which on this one what I've used is basic black, melon mambo, and some of the Painted with Love designer or specialty designer series paper, and then I've got the I Just Love You tag here. I've got some gold foil and some of the same papers over here. And I've got this heart in the back, just like the heart on the front, which I colored with our Stampin' blends. Now this one is the one that we're actually going to make today, but I'm not loving how all of this looks together. I think the happy birthday kind of blends into the background paper just a little too much. So I am going to change this up just slightly. But then when we open this one, we have these sweet flowers on the inside, and then we have the may your day be as wonderful as you, happy birthday. So let me flip this upside down. So this is why this is referred to as a box card, because it's made very similar to the way you would make a box card, in that you have these little supports in here that all of your embellishments on the inside are glued to. First of all, I have a couple pieces of Whisper White. They're both 4 1/4 inches wide. One is 8 3/4 long, the other is 8 1/2. Then for those little supports, I have a piece that is 4 3/16 by 2 1/4. Now the 3/16 of an inch wide is so that when you put them inside the box here, they're not going to be too long or too short, which would make them buckle or pucker like that. And don't worry about trying to write all of the measurements and the supplies down that I'm getting ready to show you, because I'll have a printable instruction sheet over on my blog at wallastamping.com that you can just go over and print out and get all that information. Okay, so got a piece of old olive here. This is 8 1/2 by 3. Melon Mambo, this is 8 1/2 by 2. Daffodil Delight, Tempting Turquoise, 2 by 3. Basic Black, 2 by 2. So for the panels, I have a couple of pieces of Island Indigo, and both of these are cut to 5 by 4, and then I'm using the Sweet Soiree Designer Series paper. Now this was the side that I used on the other card, but I think I'm going to use this side on this one to make that happy birthday stand out more. Both of these are cut to 4 3/4 by 3 3/4. Then for the smaller little panels, a couple more pieces of the Island Indigo, and both of these are cut to 5 by 1 7/8, and then 2 more pieces of the Designer Series paper. These are both cut to 4 3/4 by 1 5/8. Then I have a panel that will go on the inside behind the flowers, and this is cut to 3 1/8 by 4 1/4, and then I'll have an additional piece that will go right here on the front part of this panel, and it's cut to the same size. For the medallion, I've got Melon Mambo 2 by 3, Whisper White 2 by 3. Then for the happy birthday, basic black and silver foil 3 by 4. The ink I'm going to use today is Old Olive and Melon Mambo. The stamp sets that I'm going to be using is the Oh So Eclectic, and I'm going to be using quite a few of them. These leaves, the flower here and here, and then the center of the flower right there. And I'm using the Cake Soiree for this sentiment. The thinlits and framelits I'm using is the Eclectic Layers Thinlits. I'm going to be using this, and this, and this, as well as this little piece. And one of my faves, the Layering Ovals, and my Happy Birthday Thinlits. The adhesives I'm going to use is my Tombow Multipurpose Liquid Glue. I'm also going to be using my Fast Fuse. And you'll need a bone folder. So we can go ahead and start by getting our cardstock or our card base scored. So I'm going to put the 8 3/4 inch piece in first with the 8 3/4 across the top. I'm going to score at 5 3/8 and 5 1/2. Then the box part of this card will get scored at 1/2 inch, 2 5/8, 5 7/8, and 8. Then the little supports that are going to hold all those pretties, score at 1/2 inch, flip it around to the other side, and score at 1/2 inch again. So that's all the scoring we need to do. So the piece that has the 2 1/2 inch score marks on the outside, I'm going to take those and one of the 4 1/2 by 3 1/8 panels, and I'm going to use my Tombow Multipurpose Liquid Glue for this. Just going to cover the back with glue and get this adhered right in the center of this box part of the card. Just line that up even with the top and the bottom, and then put it in between the score lines to the left and to the right. And I'm using the liquid glue because it gives me just a second or two to move that around and make sure that I have it in the place I want it to be. I'm going to set this to the side and let it dry. And in the meantime, I'm going to grab all of my papers that I need to do stamping on and get my images stamped. So I'm going to start out with my Melon Mambo, and I have my flowers here. Let me just tell you what blocks I'm using so that you will know. So for the center of the flower, I have that on an A. This is a block H. This is a block B, or no, a block C and a block D. Now, if you don't have all of these blocks, the one that I would recommend that you use is a D. You could probably get away with using the C, but definitely the D would be the best size for you to use for all of these stamps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this flower here and I'm going to stamp. Oops, that didn't come out really good, so I'm going to flip this over. I didn't get it inked up all the way, so I'm going to stamp one right here. Then I'm going to take my pink and I'm going to stamp a couple of these flowers. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp another one of these, just to be sure that that is nice and crisp. Very good. Got those done. Okay, so now I'm going to move on and stamp these leaves. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp 2 or 3, but then I'm going to cut out some that are not stamped as well. But I'm leaving myself room to cut some out that are not going to be having anything in the background. Now I'm going to take this flower again, and I'm only going to do the stem. So let's see, where is going to be the best way for me to do this? I'll do one right there, right here, and right here. That should leave enough room for me to cut 2 or 3 more of those leaves out. Let me move this over to the side, and then for this one I'm going to stamp that flower again, but I'm just going to go ahead and use the Melon Mambo again because it's going to have a purpley pink look when I stamp this Melon Mambo on top of this blue, which is perfectly all right with me. There we go. Then I have the yellow. And I'm going to go ahead and stick with the Melon Mambo for this one as well. Now you could stamp this in a different color if you like to. On the first card I actually used Delightful Dijon to stamp this one with, but if you don't have all those inks, I just wanted you to see that you could just get by with using a couple of colors and it'll be fine. So while I'm doing my stamping, I should go ahead and stamp my sentiment and get that stamped, and just stamp it down pretty much in the middle. We're going to be using our layering ovals to cut this out. So let's go ahead and stamp the center of those flowers. I want to make sure that I have this turned the right way. I think it needs to go like that. You can use whatever color you want to on the center of these flowers. I'm just sticking with these two ink colors, so I'm going to put the Old Olive in the center there. All right. So I have my papers laid out here that I want to cut, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out as much as I can in a single pass. So I'm just going to cut out everything that I've got stamped here, and then I'm going to cut out a couple additional of this die without the stamped background. Alright then, I got all of my flowers and all that cut out. So what I'm going to do now is take this part of the card. I'm going to use the second from the largest oval, and I'm going to place that in the center of this panel right here. But what I'm going to do is just eyeball it, but I want to make sure that this part of the oval is closer to the top because I don't want any of those little support panels showing. So I want to have as much room down here as possible to not be able to see those when you're looking inside the card. So I'm going to get this pretty close to the top. Then I'm just going to get that run through and cut that oval out. Okay, so I have my little stems here, and as you can see there's a little bit of that flower left there that got stamped. I'm just going to use my scissors and just cut right along here like this to get rid of those parts of that stamp because I don't need those. I'm going to take my multi-purpose liquid glue and just put a little bit on the back of each of these stems, and then attach each of those right over the top of the stem on each of these flowers. Now the next thing I'm going to do is take these little pieces and stick some glue on the front side of that, and then attach that so that it'll look like it's springing up from the inside of each of these little flowers. I'm going to take one of these flowers, and I've cut out some of these little small leaves. I'm going to put a dot of glue on there and then stick those to the back of this flower. We can go ahead and start assembling our card. So I'm going to start out by just folding and burnishing all of my score lines. We can go ahead and put these little panels on next, and I have to apologize. I gave you the wrong measurements on these. They should be 4 inches tall by 1 7/8 inches wide, 3 3/4 inches tall by 1 5/8 inches wide. I don't know what I was thinking when I told you that other size, but I guess I just wrote it down wrong. I'm going to use my fast fuse to assemble these together. What I'm going to do next is take the little piece that will end up being the supports for the embellishments on the inside. I'm going to cut one that is 1 inch tall. The next one is going to be 3/4 of an inch tall. And then the last one should be 3/4 of an inch tall. Okay, so I wanted the one in the back just slightly taller so that whatever I adhere to that will stand up above the crowd, if that makes sense. So then you'll just take these and fold these over. I'm going to go ahead and burnish them. You want to make sure that these are straight. when you get them folded on those score lines. Then I'm going to take some fast fuse, put that on there, and then here's how we'll line this up. Okay, I know that this is the bottom because it's the wider panel, so right here at this score line, this cut edge right here, I'm going to line up right beside that score line, and then even with the bottom of the card right there. Then I'm going to fold this over out of the way, put adhesive on my next piece. Then this will get lined up right next to the one I just put in place. Make sure it's straight across the bottom, then fold that back over. And then the last one. That one gets lined up right next to the previous one. Lay those all over this way. And the thing that you want to make sure, and I don't know how well you'll be able to tell on this white paper, but let me just do it this way. Let me fold this guy out of the way. So here is my score line right here. I'm just going to fold that down. You want to make sure that the cut edge of this paper is not going beyond that score line. That one is just a little bit closer than what I want it to be, so I'm going to snip that off just slightly. That looks better. And then this one, I think I'm going to snip this one down just a little bit too. And the reason why is I don't want any of those getting in the way of each other, so that it's going to prevent this card from closing properly and looking nice. So I'm going to put my fast fuse on each one of these. I'm going to hold those in place, make sure everything's straight. That little adhesive got out of the control there for just a second. Lay everything down straight and then fold this side over, holding that down straight. Push that down, and then when you open it up, you've got your little supports in there. How cool is that? I love it. All right, so let's take what is the base of our card, get our bone folder, and score both, or not score, but fold both of these lines. Make sure that you get this nice and straight too. Don't let it be kind of wonky up and down here. You want these edges lined up with each other so that it will be a nice, neat card. Okay, I think I've got that done well. Now, the wider side will be the front of your card. Let's go ahead and get our panels attached to that. So what I'm going to do is just like I did before, use my fast fuse, attach these. One of them will go here on this side of the card, and the other one will go here on the outside of the card. I have my happy birthday cut out of both the black and the silver foil. I'm just going to take the silver foil, apply adhesive to the back, and again I'm using my liquid glue. Then I'll stick that on top of the black and then attach that to the front of the card. Now let's take the front of the card and decide the layout we want to go with on here. So I know one of these I'm going to use on the inside of the card. And I'm thinking about just maybe doing something like this on the outside of the card. So let's go ahead and get these stuck down. Alright, I'm going to reattach this. I put it down once and I didn't have it lined up correctly, so I'm going to do it for you again. So I'm going to put adhesive on both of these tabs right here. Flip that over and make sure that the thick part is at the bottom. I'm going to line this corner up right here with this second score line right here. You want it beside it and not on top of it. Make sure that's even at the bottom. Then I'm going to come over here and line up. Let me turn it up so hopefully you can see better. I'm going to line this up so that this cut edge and that folded edge are right there beside each other, but I want to somewhat see that score line where it folds. And then you'll know you've got it right if you can fold it flat in both directions. And mine looks like it's doing okay. Now I've got a little bit of glue right there. That's all right because our other panel is going to go in and cover that up. You can use your liquid glue or your fast fuse for this as well. I'm just going to use my liquid because again, it gives me a minute or so to shift things around as I need to. So line it up on the top and the bottom. And it should pretty well line up side to side. I'm going to use my bone folder and get that pushed down in there. Okay, so there we have our card pretty much done. Now for this little flower right here, I'm actually going to use a couple of dimensionals and place those on the back. So I'm ready to start putting my flowers inside of my box. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach some of my leaves to my flowers in advance. For example, this one, I want it to be attached just about like this. All right, maybe tilt it this way a little bit more because I really want to see that little black stamen, and then if I have a piece of that stem showing, I'm just going to snip that off like that. So I'm going to start off with the blue one. I'm going to flip that over and put my glue on the back. And I have found for me it's easier to use some tweezers to get everything stuck in place. I'm going to come in here on that last little support, the third one, the closest to the back, and put that blue flower right there kind of to the left. Going to take my yellow flower next, more adhesive on the back. I'm going to come up to the next little support, the one in the middle, and I'm going to put this yellow flower more to the right hand side. Then the pink one will go next. And I'm going to attach it on the one that's up here closest to the front. And it's going to go right there. Now I'm not finished with my leaves. I want to put some more in there, so I'm going to use a plain one next. I'm going to put this adhesive on the front, and I will stick that right here beside this yellow flower behind. Then let me take a look at that and see if I like how it's looking. I think I may want another leaf in there, so I'm going to take this one and I'm just going to put it down in there and see where I think I might want it. And I think that looks pretty good. So put some adhesive on there. And this one is going in beside this yellow flower. Now I can go ahead and determine where I want to put this pink one. So now that I have all those in place, I can go ahead and stick this one down in there. I'm going to take a look and see if I like how it's coming together, and see if I feel like I need to put any additional flowers in there, but I'm kind of liking it just like that. Now let's go ahead and close this and think about this other leaf right here. I think I may use that right in there. So I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of all of these little leaves, slide that right in there just like I just had it, and stick that down. Now I have my 5th from the largest oval, and I'm going to put that around my sentiment, and the 4th from the largest scalloped oval to cut out my melon mambo. Attach this to the left inside part of your card, and your card is complete. Now you just have to put it in an envelope and get it out in the mail, or present it in a gift if you want to. So here is the one with the green in the background. I really like them both, but I'm kind of liking this one better now that I'm looking at it, but you can be the judge for yourself. Then we'll open them up and we'll look at the inside. Let me get those bent back this way so you can see them better, because that's how they would sit up on the desk or a table or wherever it would be placed. So there's the inside of both of them. So you can decide which one you like the best. I really am having a difficult time because I like them both. I hope that you enjoyed learning how to make this card with me today, and I know whoever you make it for and give it to is going to feel extra special. I want to be able to inspire you and give you the tools that you need so that you can create cards like this yourself. If you like this project and you'd like to order some of the supplies to make this, then you can order by going to wallastamping.com/SU. There will also be a link below this video to my online store. Just click on any of the product and you can go shop. And when you're over on my blog at wallastamping.com and you're getting your PDF for how to make this project, there's a list of supplies there for you as well. There's the measurements and step-by-step instructions for you. So if you like this video and you want to see more like it, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I'd love for you to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. So again, I'm Nina with Walla Stamping. Thank you for spending time with me today and allowing me to share this project with you. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.